Until you physically extract some form of reward from the market and pay yourself, nothing is real and it won't feel real. Inevitably, the losing streak will come and it will eat into those profits. It's very dangerous and damaging to have a set number in your head because it will almost block you from making logical decisions along the way. Enough will never be enough. It could be materialistic, it could be supporting family, it does not matter. Just fucking pay yourself, trust me. So we've already covered in a previous video how taking profits is absolutely a necessity when it comes to cryptocurrency investing especially. But in this particular video, I want to cover more of the psychology behind taking the profits and paying yourself. Because the truth is, until you physically extract some form of reward from the market and pay yourself, nothing is real and it won't feel real. And furthermore, it actually spawns a whole series of issues and complexities when the money is retained purely inside that trading account. And I said this in the previous videos, but there is nothing more liberating in the world, I feel, than taking money out of the market. And for most people, especially in crypto, they've never actually experienced this because the entirety of their trading cycle is money kept up in these platforms, these brokers, or just kept on exchanges, but the money has never physically been received back into their own hands. Now, we're very quick to throw money into the market, but for some reason, we find it really complex and difficult to get that money extracted back into our hands. Now, this for me creates a huge issue psychologically. And again, this all comes from real experiences because I myself have been in that phase, even from Forex. And we will kind of compare to Forex as well in this particular video, where when that money is kept on a platform exchange or broker, and let's say your goal, because you're telling yourself you're going to grow it more, because that money is not physically back in your possession, or even a fraction or percentage of that money has gone back into your hands, it's not physically real in your mind. And you can almost lose touch of reality to the point where that money loses its real world physical value, which is a good and bad thing, so to speak, because you don't want to put money on a pedestal. And furthermore, I like to live in an abundance mindset where nothing matters. But when it comes to the markets, you're more inclined to do something rather stupid before you get the point of taking the money out. And we all say this, we say, once we hit this particular goal, we will withdraw. And how many times have you done that but ended up losing the money or blowing the account? I certainly have. And I think it's a great topic to discuss because so many traders are fixated on making more. But you would very likely make more if you paid yourself every step of the way. We often get blinded by numbers and we believe that we need to pay ourselves in the region of 50K, 100K, or millions and millions and millions of pounds and dollars. That's not true because even if you withdrew a simple £500 or £1,000 or dollars or even £10, £20, when that money physically hits your bank account or that money is exchanged for some form of asset, it could be a material item, anything you think of, but when it is materialized in the real world and you see the reward of your actions in the real world and not just pixels on a screen, it will probably be one of the most revolutionary psychology shifts you see as a trader because it suddenly makes you realize how real it actually is. Now, as an example, for what I used to do back in the day when it came to Forex, especially, is I would put money in an account, grow it to a certain amount, but I wouldn't withdraw anything. And I would start to get greedy, especially during account flips. People that try and do this, there is no longevity to this. And if you set yourself a goal, whether you do it in a linear manner, logically, sensibly, 1-2% risk, or whether you go all guns blazing, testicular deep to try and flip that money, you will always set yourself a kind of financial goal. Most of the time, you do not hit the goal before you inevitably blow the account or do something stupid. But yet, when you withdraw, especially if you're being rather stupid or you're newer to the markets and you have a really big winning streak, the first thing you should be doing throughout a very strong winning streak, specifically if it's a week or longer, is taking a percentage of those profits throughout that winning period out of the market and paying yourself. Because inevitably, the losing streak will come, or at least a handful of losses will return, and it will eat into those profits. Now, some people are different. Some people could go out there and just withdraw everything and be happy. And we have a few members that do that sometimes. If I give a play that say does 200%, some members will close it all and they're happy with their profits. But for a longevity basis, and that is completely fine, by the way, but for a longevity basis, if you want to do this longer, you need to be rewarding yourself every step of the way. You can compare this to working a 9 to 5. If you were to work an entire month, but you didn't receive pay at the end of that job and at the end of that month, would you continue working? Would you continue having the same drive, the same motivation? Would you be able to live any form of lifestyle that you currently have or maintain if you weren't receiving that paycheck at the end of the month? If you want to treat this seriously as a career, then you must practice the same steps if you are a profitable trader. And if you're not yet a profitable trader, but you've had a winning streak, the same concept applies, because there is always a big fear for most people. And I've come to realize this over the years, why so many people fear closing a trade in profit or taking a withdrawal out the market. And because deeply rooted is a subconscious fear that they will not be able to replicate that same successful trade or that same successful winning streak. And that's a real problem that many traders have. And the truth is if you suffer from that problem, you're just probably not experienced enough yet. It's actually completely normal. But what you will soon come to realize is the better you get and the more you improve, the less that fear will start to deviate. And in fact, the more you pay yourself, the more it will actually motivate you and likely encourage you to take better trades in the process. So when you put all of your money in the markets, remember, keyword, pixels on a fucking screen. That's all it is. Even the money in your bank are pixels on a screen. Nothing is physically real. But if you withdraw that money from an ATM, it's real. And you know that money is physically in your hands. You can touch it, feel it, smell it, maybe kiss it. And I've done that a few times. But moving into the markets, if you leave everything there, you just leave it there on that screen, and all you see is numbers fluctuating up and down. Without any form of reward system for yourself, it does simply become just numbers, and you can often lose this reality touch with the capital you have there, and it makes you more inclined to do something stupid. I've seen this many times. Now, when I go back to the idea of what to spend the money on, I often recommend something really stupid, if anything, because a lot of the time we want materialistic things. We want stupid things. Like me, what do I like buying? I like Lego. Honestly, believe it or not, one of my favorite things to buy is Lego. Most of the time when there's a good series of trades, one of the first things I buy is a new Lego set. And that may be stupid to some people, but that's generally what I like spending my money on. I had a massive phase at one point where it was pure designer clothes, but it was paid for with mostly profits. So who really cares in the long run? The truth is, no matter whether it's a book, no matter whether it's giving money to your family, no matter what it physically is, the moment that money is received and witnessed in your bank account, you suddenly learn to associate trading with a real job and career because you treat it in the exact same way. It's crazy how it works psychologically, but there has been periods in time where my money is left on my Kraken for so long, as an example, or various other exchanges, and you really just forget the money is real. You really forget that any of it is an actual substantial valuable sum. And obviously, the more you have, the more it almost becomes numbing to believe that a $1,000 withdrawal will actually benefit your life in any way, shape, or form. But look at it this way: if you were in that position, and many of you are, some of you may not yet be, but this is also a pre warning for when you get to that stage. And furthermore, this goes and is valuable for any amount of capital you have. If you've made $1,000 profit, I would say, regardless of what you make, you should be withdrawing 20 to 30%. Because if you are a skilled trader, you will be able to make that money back regardless. If you're not a skilled trader and can't make that money back, well, you shouldn't really be trading live just yet anyway, and should still be in the practicing and development phase. But if you're confident enough where you have seen consistent profitability, well, you should be having consistent withdrawals simultaneously. There is an unbelievable, unfucking believable satisfaction that comes from taking profits out of the market and not just pressing sell, but paying yourself. It is such a rewarding feeling because you just suddenly go, hold on a damn second. I've pressed a few buttons, and this is the truth. Realistically, trading is the easiest yet hardest career in the world, because to actually obtain your money from a physical standpoint, you're clicking buttons, you're moving a mouse or moving a touchpad on your laptop. You're literally pressing a few buttons. But simultaneously, it is the most mentally challenging and most strenuous job in the world because it takes its damn toll on your mental side of things. From a cognitive basis, it's horrendously intensive, but from a physical basis, so easy. So easy. So you want to almost associate that rewards-based system to make it real and understand just how easy it is to obtain that money, because there's no greater motivation than rewarding yourself for the work you have done and the efforts you have placed within the market. People really, really struggle in crypto to sell their coins. People in Forex struggle to withdraw because they're trying to grow this account continuously. But there is absolutely no reason whatsoever why you can't grow the account or still make money in crypto from your trades whilst taking profits at the same time. There is really no correlation, to be honest with you. It's an underlying fear that we consistently have because we're more inclined to trade, and we're so focused on making money, but we're not necessarily focused on withdrawing the money. So the more you see those numbers on the screen as well, the more you will grow an emotional connection to those numbers. You essentially determine your worth and your value and your self-worth and value from the numbers you perceive on the screen. So let's say in my instance now, the current balance I have on this Kraken is $500,000. The more that stays there, the more I start to almost view this as a number that can't be moved or a number that I don't want to see change. I only want to see it grow. And the more it's there, the more you just essentially associate your worth and value with that number. But if, let's say, I was to withdraw $3,000, which in my opinion is not a crazy amount of money for the portfolio on this particular portfolio, it's still enough to keep me going through the next trades. And furthermore, what it also does in the process is it stops you actually making more stupid decisions. It honestly will completely change your life and completely change how you trade. Because until that's done, it's all make believe, it's all fantasy. And that's how most traders, in fact, I would say 90% plus of traders, spend the duration of their careers, if they even make it that far, because it's all in fantasy land, it's all make believe. There's numbers on a screen, but no reward for that. You can't buy assets, you can't help your family, you can't do anything if the numbers remain there. And no matter what you do, and no matter what level you get to in life, enough will never be enough. You must get this number out of your head because it's so damaging. I think it's really important to have like longer term goals and longer term visions, but simultaneously, it's very dangerous and damaging to have a set number in your head because it will almost block you from making logical decisions along the way. We all have dreams, we all have targeted numbers, but realistically, taking some money out is not going to impair you from reaching those numbers. If, for example, it's a weekly profit, and even if it was to theoretically halt you a little bit longer on along the way, this game is about patience. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So even if you withdrew the entire week's profits, it could potentially stop you doing some stupidity the following week or even taking some trades the following week. Honestly, like the main word I can think of is liberating. And there's two stages to this process because the hard part is what I covered in a previous video, which is taking the profits. The hard part for some people is closing a Forex trade or selling and parting with their precious beloved crypto coins. People struggle to do that because, again, why? They're so oriented on the upside, they're so oriented on attaining more and more and more that it completely blinds them to what they currently have in the present, which is likely still very valuable to them in correspondence to what they make in a real job. When you pay yourself and that withdrawal hits your bank, or you are able to buy something with that money. Now, again, it can be anything. You don't, there is no rules to this. What do you want? Ask yourself, what do you want? Is there something you want that you're probably too scared to pay and spend from your personal account, or where the money you currently have is in savings, whatever it may be? If you have money in a trading account right now that is profits, you should be buying yourself something. You should be treating yourself. You should be rewarding yourself. There is no reason why. It could be materialistic. It could be supporting family. It does not matter. Just fucking pay yourself. Trust me. I think a modest number would be anywhere from 20-30% of total profits, even if it was on a continuous basis of 5%. One thing I did do, and I actually showed you guys this live, is I sometimes when I feel like I have an urgency to do something stupid, what I used to do was I would just put a bit of money into a Forex account. Because I'm predominantly crypto oriented, I know it's a completely different game when it comes to crypto. So there would sometimes be urges, let's say, which we must all get, I hope, or hopefully not, but I'm sure we all get them, where I would want to do something incredibly stupid in crypto. I would have these urges where I just want to take a bigger risk. So what I would end up doing is putting like a couple grand into a Forex account and just trying to flip it. because it was money that I wouldn't necessarily care about. And what I would basically do with every account flip that wouldn't end up getting obliterated is withdraw everything. And again, I forgot the year, and I mentioned this in a previous video, but what I done with that account flip was I paid myself every single day. I was on a huge winning streak. I got it up to £60,000 from $1,000 or so, if I remember correctly. It was either 1K or 5K. Either way, it was great profits. But whilst I was getting almost a gambling fix from that with money that I could afford to lose, I was simultaneously being incredibly calculated and logical over here on the crypto side. But let's just say in that day, I made £2,500, £3,000. I would probably withdraw 2,000 to £2,500 because I had that conviction and I was in that flow. And this is even more important if you are in that winning flow. I would withdraw every single day. Some days it would be £300, other days it would be £7,000. Collectively over time, I had withdrawn the entire amount of £60,000 because once we got to the point of 60, and I had a bit of a loss of about 14K, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the exact number, but either way, by the time I'd withdrawn up to an amount of around $60,000, I then lost £14,000. I took it all out after that and said enough is enough. Now, that's a more extreme example. And to be honest with you, the possibilities and likelihoods of sustaining an account flip is not very likely. But the point is, I took every single bit of profit out. Now, I would not condone or recommend flipping accounts to anyone unless you have experience or you literally do it with money you can afford to lose. It's not recommended. But I think it sets a great example that even when delving into the highest form of risk, my sole priority was withdrawing almost the majority of those profits every single day. Because I was in that flow, the next day I would make it back anyway, withdraw again. And I essentially spent all of that money furnishing my new apartment in the UK at the time. And it was completely free of charge, essentially, because the money was free. Don't forget that. When you make profits from the market, you are making free money. You are taking a risk, but the money you are then buying the assets with subconsciously, whether it's a holiday, again, giving money to family, the possibilities are endless. Whatever you can physically spend money on that you like spending money on, it's free in theory. And you should teach yourself that. Because if you're able, this is crucial. If you are using your profits from trading, you have successfully achieved one of the biggest dreams in the world of being able to obtain, acquire assets or material items or support your family without money that is reliant on a paycheck. That for me is the biggest fucking wake up call in the world. In fact, that is the most important thing. When you are able to do the first purchase and you are able to pay yourself outside of that 9 to 5 money, the money that you slave and work hard for, when you are able to experience for the first time, and I think this is why so many people suffer, because if the money's left in your account, it's all fantasy. So you're still reliant on the paycheck. You're still in that mindset of, and psychologically, you're thinking in your head, well, yeah, you're making money, but you haven't really experienced the money from this. So the money you continue earning from your job is almost psychologically your sole dependent income. It's what you only have as a perception of how money can actually be obtained or what assets can be spent on. But the minute that money from outside that you have earned from outside your income is used to purchase something, it opens up a whole new world and it begins to show you the possibilities that can be obtained from real, serious, calculated precision like trading. Because no successful trader is not carrying those traits. To be successful in this game, you must have those key characteristics to be continuously profitable. So there's no better way to wake the fuck up than actually rewarding yourself from the work where you've obviously made the money being in that state flow. It's a really beautiful form of events. But if you kind of go back to the basics of what I'm saying here, for most of our lives, we are living in a world and living within this routine and regime where we are working, paycheck end of the month. That's the income that provides us for everything. So our perception of how money is earned and how money is spent is purely dominated by what we have been doing for the whole point of our lives. But the minute you are able to suddenly wake up and realize that this money can be obtained from this digital world, and I can acquire real world assets or real world experiences with this, you will suddenly see the future. It will suddenly open your eyes to exactly what is possible. So this is just A humble reminder for anyone, whether you are in a profitable stage, you've had a massive crypto win, you bought Bitcoin at 16K and it's currently at 120K, do not fear pressing the sell button, because this game is not just about amassing huge amounts of wealth, it's about acquiring freedom. And there is no better form and source of freedom than spending money that goes beyond your paycheck. If you are earning money and you are able to get yourself into a position where you can now earn money outside of your 9 to 5 and your regular job, you should begin earning the rewards and benefits of that and rewarding yourself in the real world. It is not real until that money is in your possession. So if there's one key takeaway from this, please pay yourself. Come back and tell me how that feels. And I guarantee you, it will change how you view money, how you view life. It will motivate you more to continue working. It will help you treat trading more seriously. And last but not least, it will change your life. There is no other way to explain it besides it will change your life. And you will not truly know that experience until you finally go ahead and do it. Stop being blinded by what may be. Stop being blinded and stop being scared to pay yourself. How stupid is that? You're making money at the click of a finger, and you're afraid to reward yourself for the efforts you're putting in. That for me is delulu. That's absolutely outrageous. To even think that we almost fear the concept of taking money out when the whole purpose of this game is to make money. And many people forget this. Why are we here to make money? What is the point of making money if you cannot enjoy it? It's like those really stingy rich people that just want to have a very large bank account, but they're scared to spend their money and enjoy life. What's the fucking point? You want to be the richest man in the graveyard? Or do you want to use the ability that you have earned through hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that gives you an opportunity to taste a glimmer of freedom? And you likely have the keys to that right there in front of you right now. Yet you're too scared to do it because you want more. Think of that and think about that.